Well, bowling fans, we're back. Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan is the site. We've got the big kids today, Joey. We've got the Yonan Memorial Open. The first time they're doing this, open to adult and youth. And we've got two players out there today that we've seen in the past. A lot of tournaments, USBC champions, Jason Wendt and Andy Mills. And a couple of the younger players, both on the left side with Ryan Keith and one of our favorites all the time, the human pretzel, Kyle Anderson.
Right, and we're going to see a challenging pattern today. Sunset strip pattern, not as easy as it sounds, but we'll see if they rise to the occasion.
Yeah. Scores were a little low in qualifying starting out. They got a little bit higher as the lanes opened up, but we're starting with fresh oil on the TV pair, so scores might not be that high, but I think every match should probably be pretty close.
Well, I mean, we want to identify the top players, so let's let the pattern help do that.
Yeah, especially with a $1,000 first place prize out there for the bowlers today. Great money offered up here at Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan. We'll be back with that first match between Kyle Anderson and Jason Wendt in just a couple of minutes. Make sure you stay tuned.
Eileen's Bowling Buddy, used by high school and college coaches and members of the PBA Tour to train, warm up, and rehab. Get all the information at eileensbowlingbuddy.com.
Opening match here for the inaugural Yonan Memorial Open Tournament. Open to everyone, adult and youth. And one of our former youth players, Kyle Anderson, sitting on the bench. And Joe, a great player here from Nina, Jason Wendt, starting us off.
USBC champion Jason Wendt.
I see another USBC champion as well with Andy Mills in the next match, and almost a huge break there to crumble the bucket out from behind, just leaving the 4-pin.
Yeah, and that's where good leverage and good hand action can kind of get you out of dodge here. Instead of a bucket, he leaves a single pin, which is much less choppable than that 2-4-5-8.
No doubt about that. And you see him switch to that unique-looking polyester spare ball there with the zombie face on it, and no problem covering up that single pin.
Made by DV8 Products.
Well, Jason, a couple of appearances on various Wisconsin TV shows over the year. First time with us here on the bowling shows on Time Warner Cable SportsChannel, but a young man you've seen plenty of times out here, Joey.
The human pretzel?
Yes, indeed. As your father called him. Kyle Anderson out here out of Lockport, Illinois.
Now, Kyle maturing as a bowler and a young man, being a, let's say, a weathered college student.
Yes, indeed. Goes to St. Ambrose out in Davenport, Iowa, and a good start from there, but that stone 8-pin still stands.
Yeah, and Kyle's bowling style hasn't changed much, but I'm sure he's gained quite a bit of knowledge playing at St. Ambrose.
Oh, absolutely.
I watched them bowl collegiately a number of times on YouTube.
Yeah, and all those tournaments they bowl collegiately, they're all bowling on PBA or sport-type conditions. This tournament condition out here today with sunset strip from Kegel, just a little bit above sport, but still have to make very good shots to keep the ball in play, and no problem with Kyle covering that spare up as well.
And you know, we have two quality players here with extremely contrasting styles when it comes to tempo. Kyle, quick feet from the start, a little hop step in there, and then we watch Jason, the more traditional slow, and then quick footwork.
Yeah, and you'll see actually the same thing in the next match with Ryan Keith. A little bit slower on the tempo, even all the way through, kind of like Kyle here, doesn't hit up on the bottom as much as Kyle does. But Andy Mills, kind of the same tempo you'll see as Jason Wendt with, a little slow to start and then speed up into it.
And it just goes to show you, you can have your own unique style and just perfect it. Let's watch his steps. Quick, little hop, and fire away on the ball of his foot, but plenty of power.
Just shreds that rack. That 5, 6, and 10. Anything in that rack isn't going to stand, no matter what pin I call it there.
Well, not too often, especially coming in from that wide outside angle.
And the lefties seem to be able to play on this sunset strip pattern a little farther out, around first arrow, and most of the righties, as they started, were in the track area around second arrow. Getting the ball out to no more than about 8th board, and just can't quite get that 10-pin out.
Kind of a half 10 there, and again, Jason, a very polished player, and You know, his first 3 steps are actually very controlled, very smooth, and then he gets into his last 2 a little bit more aggressively. Well, we'll take a look at that even on a spare attempt. Slow, 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 and then quicker into the slide, but very good balance. Probably hasn't missed a spare in years.
Probably not, and post that form, great. Now, if you've bowled a lot of scratch tournaments in Wisconsin, or even some of the tournaments such as the Willow Creek Classic, or other tournaments in the Green Bay Fox Valley area, you've seen a lot of Jason Wendt, and he's probably taken a lot of your money over time as well.
Well, I'm sure he has. And speaking of lane conditions, Phil, how would you describe today's pattern the boys are in?
Well, Sunset Strip here is, you know, it's kind of a retro approach, is what Kegel Bowling likes to say about this pattern. They try to lay the pattern out in strips, so it's kind of larger adjustments the bowler have to make as it goes along. Sometimes a 2-in-1 or a 3-in-2 adjustment might not be enough as the oil pattern depletes from the bowling balls. It may take a 5-in-3 or a 6-in-4 move between your feet and your target to keep the ball on line as it breaks down. But with 2 lefties and 2 righties on the show, it should be a little bit slower on the breakdown on both sides of the lane, and a ring 7 there for Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, both bowlers leaving bad breaks on the right lane, corner pins each.
You can see Kyle there, he's wearing a GISBT champion shirt, the Greater Illinois Scholarship Bowlers Tour. They bowl in house conditions out there, and Joey, at a tournament earlier this year for 16 games, Kyle averaged over 254 to win the title for 16 games of bowling in one day with no rear oil. That's pretty incredible.
Well, we've seen Kyle enough. He is an incredible player.
Yeah, former Chuck Hall star tomorrow, and you look at all the former Chuck Hall stars tomorrow that are out on the Pro Tour, from Lonnie Wallachek to Sean Rash. Lots of great ones out there.
We're the future of our sport, Phil, and at least we have some young, you know, strong-willed youngsters coming up the ranks that are mature enough, and they set a good example, I think, to the youth younger than they are.
Yeah, and they're approaching it as a sport. They're bowling in these tougher conditions. They're bowling against the same thing the guys in tour are bowling against. And when you see a young gun here like Kyle bowling in a tougher condition, he's not scared by Jason's resume or anything Jason's got there, because he knows he can stay up with him.
Right, and in a one-game match, anyone can beat anyone.
Yeah. And Kyle was our top seed here today going in, and because it was a bracket-style playoff for the top 16 bowlers, everybody had to win 2 two-game matches to make the TV show, and Kyle won his first one. A little bit of a tough fight, but the second one was pretty easy. And
just a little pinchy squeeze inside of his target line, and I think he knew that off his hand he'd need a little help there from the pins if he was going to strike on that shot.
Yeah. Jason, a Deviate staffer, that branch of Brunswick Bowling, that's been putting out some pretty good equipment recently. I mean, I mixed my arsenal up pretty well, but I do like my Endless Nightmare from Deviate to go with a couple of the other options I have in the bag. Motive Bowling sponsoring the TV event here today as well. Got a couple of pieces, can't wait to get drilled up for them. And Primal Rage, my wife loves it. She won the Milwaukee Women's Division I handicap title this year, her second city title in a row, and she used the Motive Primal Rage that you drilled up for her.
I think we can confidently say Motive is the up-and-coming ball manufacturer of 2013 and 14, and their sales have increased exponentially. More so than I would say any other ball manufacturer in the market.
Yes, indeed. We're going to take a quick commercial break here from Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan. Due to time constraints, we had the bowlers bowl through the commercial. Kyle Anderson stepped up in his 5th frame here at Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan. Just a little bit light in the pocket, leaves himself a weak 7-pin. Moves to the right side of the approach, no problem covering that up. Then on lane 3, a little fast out of the hand, doesn't quite get the finish he's looking for, almost gets a huge break. Just leaving the 3-pin, and no problem going nice and direct to cover it up. Jason Wendt looking to get a double to get into the lead, but left out of his hand, and a bad break to leave a 3, 6, 9, 10. But gets a little bit of a break on the spare, gets the 3-pin to do enough damage on the rest of the pins to get the conversion. Steps up on lane 3 for his 7th frame. Little flat getting in the pocket, and just kind of rings the 6 around the 10. And gets himself the cover on the spare to maintain an even match. And we'll get back to the commentary with myself and Joe Serrar.
And it does look as though their ball reaction is good. It's just the balls aren't going through the pins the way they'd like him to.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit different in a lane pair than we just saw for the Sean Yonan Memorial Youth Finals, but we had bowlers like Katie Zwiefelhofer that came out on TV and shot 235, playing a little straighter angle, and maybe they just need to get a little more high flush in the pocket in order to carry. Right near your living room there with Kyle, and right into the pit there with all 10 pins.
There, yeah, there's some vintage power we've seen time and time again.
So, it was, your dad pointed out years ago, he's a one-handed player with a two-handed style, with the way the shoulders open and rotate like the torso, and how he gets underneath the ball, and basically he could keep his right hand on the ball like a Jason Belmonte all the way through the backswing, and probably wouldn't gain any rubs or anything.
And do his feet leave the ground in his second to last step? Let's take a look.
Hard to tell if the ball returned away, but that definite short step to get that power into the slide. And
caught that double, puts a little pressure on Jason.
Gets Kyle up there by 11 pins. And Jason working on his spare here, so count's going to be huge.
That 4-pin barely got the 7-0.
But those 19.5 mile-an-hour ball speeds and the 450 rev rates can dig out an extra corner pin when they need it, unlike you and I with our...
He's been high last 2 times on that lane. He made a nice adjustment, cold flush.
Nice shot there by Jason. First strike for Jason since the 5th frame.
First strike on that lane.
So, after a couple of 10-pin, 4-pin, good comeback for him. Let's see if he can get his first double in the match here. Let's see if he makes a move on the approach with his feet.
He struck on this lane 2 of his last 3 shots, the one being a solid 10. He didn't. Let's see if he softens it up a little. Didn't soften up, just caught it more, carried the wally, and double-double.
Yeah, how about that? And he looked like he had a little problem with the footwork at the end there, but the ball was out of his hand, and he's breathing a little sigh back there, knowing that he's only down by a pin at this time, but Kyle Anderson in control here. If Kyle can get this 1 in the 9th and the first 2 in the 10th, it'll be lights out.
Kyle knows this 9th frame is critical because this could give him an extra bonus 21 pins if he catches this in the first one in the 10th.
Gets that lean into the shot. Watch those shoulders open, almost perpendicular to the head pin, and another great shot there by Kyle.
Yeah, that's a big turkey right there, and I mean the match is pretty much in his control. His worst shot on this lane, I believe, has he had a bad shot? A light 3-pin.
A light 3-pin.
The rest of so he struck 3 out of 4 shots on the left lane.
Let's see what he can do here. Double in the 10th, and any decent count will get him into the final match for that $1,000 first place prize today. If you lose in one of the semifinal matches, you only get $450, so a lot of money to win if you get out of this match. And kind of surprising with that really light hit there.
Lone bad shot of the match, and not a good time for it, and not an easy spare.
Well, and a lot of pin count too right there with only taking 6 down. I mean, that gives Jason no doubt a big advantage to get out. Kyle's maximum right here with the spare and the strike is 215.
Yeah, he went from leading in count to being behind in count, but again, you get a 6 count, it's going to happen.
Yeah, spare here is going to force Jason Wendt to get a strike on his first ball in the 10th to have any chance to advance. And wow, huge pull by Kyle there. That's the worst, probably the worst shot I've seen him throw on TV in years. And a 201, and now that just gives Jason Wendt a mark and good count.
And it almost looks as though Kyle is taking his shoes off or putting his shoe booty on, and he knows it's over. He's walking away. You can see that in dejection.
Yeah, any mark here, I mean, assuming good count on the first ball, he can lock it up with good count, a spare, and another good count. That's nice in the pocket. Well, the one pin you never want to make for winning a match is a corner pin, and
well, it's not that you don't want to make it, you don't want to leave it.
Good point, yes.
But, so both bowlers in this game, Phil, all good shots, 1 bad shot each. Kyle's in the 10th, and Jason's lone bad shot, frame 6, where he left 3, 6, 9, 10.
And got a little bit lucky with the conversion as well.
Yet we're looking at 2-0 and 2-0.
Assuming Jason makes this, he's going to only need to get... Yeah, he only needs to get 5 pins on the shot. He can even Greek Church on the shot and still get to the next match.
Well, I've seen 4 count splits on the nose.
Yes, we have. Jason Belmonte in the Masters this past year. Except Jason made his. That was pretty impressive to watch. But yeah, you can get 4 through the nose. I think he's going to go a little more direct with the shot to make sure he doesn't get that slice by the 9-pin. Decent out of his hand. 4-6 is enough. That's going to give him a 205 to 201 victory. Jason Went moves on to the championship match. We've got our second semifinal between Andy Mills and Ryan Keith in just a moment, so make sure you come back to Lakeshore Lanes for that second semifinal. I have a lot of viewers that ask me, why do you have so many of your tournaments at Castle Lanes? Well, Castle Lanes is a center that has an exceptional atmosphere. The charm of being in a Northwoods cabin while you bowl, an attentive staff on the lanes and in the lounge, all the big screen TVs and a free Wi-Fi hotspot, and being named in Bowler's Journal as one of the 95 places to bowl before you die, you have to bowl at Castle Lanes. That's why we love Castle Lanes, and you will too. Semi-final number 2 from Lakeshore Lanes to Sheboygan for the inaugural Yonan Memorial Open Tournament. Once again, one of our former Youth Challenge bowlers, Ryan Keith, bowling against Andy Mills. Andy styling the pink pants here out of Onalaska.
The highly excitable Andy Mills, and he is an entertaining player.
Another USBC champion, won the team event with Nicholas J's Pro Shop a couple of years back. One of his teammates, Trevor Yonan, brother of Sean Yonan, who this tournament's named after.
Yeah, Trevor has a nice game. Very controlled, good amount of power, contemporary style.
Yes, indeed. Trevor made the top 16 match play portion of this tournament, but lost his first round match. Otherwise, he would have had a chance to bowl Andy in the second round. That could have been interesting, teammates bowling against each other. And this one, never easy to make with that 3, 6, 9, 10. That needs help, and yep, the 6 goes around the 10.
Yeah, and he was probably a quarter of an inch away from making it, with the ball needing to be a little further right. Yet, in the first match, we saw it made on the cross. So the game's not always fair.
Not at all. Another young man we've seen here in the past from the Youth Challenge TV shows making his first adult tournament appearance, Ryan Keith out of Roselle, Illinois. Teammate of Kyle Anderson out at St. Ambrose. His twin brother Adam watching in the back. Adam bowled today as well, and a nice start there by Ryan.
Yeah, very smooth game, and kind of playing very similarly to where Kyle was playing, albeit a little bit slower speed, but a little bit lower rev rate as well.
Yeah, and you can see a little bit of surface on the ball. You see Andy using something a little bit polished. Ryan using something with just a little bit of surface on it, kind of tame out the back end reaction. Kind of reminds me of the old player in the 80s, Scott Devers, right there with that short backswing, very loose swing.
So. Yeah, very much so.
The long stride into the final step, and a little bit of a bad break there to leave the 6-9 combination. That's not something you see very often.
It's not something you want to see very often.
No, especially because
it's like a 4-8 for a righty. It's just far too inviting to chop.
Yeah, that extra length of the back of the lane, the extra back end you get to gain a little angle, and you can see right there, a little bit of almost a backup ball for Ryan with polyester, and make sure he gets both of them with the ball, and a nice conversion.
Well, if he was consciously trying to throw a backup, that was actually a pretty wise decision. Take the chop out of play if possible.
And he's got to bounce back off that first frame error there with only getting 9. Nice out of his hand, needs to set up. And how about that for tripping the 4-9 out?
You can thank the pin boy for that. That came out of the pit to kick out the 9 for his first strike of the match.
So nicely done there with a little bit of a kick on the 6 and the 9.
Oh no, that pin was on the deck.
Yeah.
It just did a little spin action there to kick it out. My mistake.
Yeah, more fans coming in, checking things out here. 5 steps to the line. Ooh, a little up on his toes on that shot, but manages to get the double.
I think Andy's always up on his toes.
Yeah, that was a little bit farther than normal. Ryan Keith stepping up, looking to get his second strike on lane 4 here after we see Andy's replay of his double. And very deliberate. Shot clock involved in this tournament as well, 25-second shot clock, and we've seen it in the past where Ryan has been a little deliberate. I don't think we'll have any problems with him today. He just kind of sped his game up, and I think it's helping him out a little bit. He's 2 for 3 so far out here.
Well, 2 for 3 is what he's going to need to do against Andy Mills. Andy known for stringing strikes.
Yeah, I don't think 205 like Jason went's last game is going to win the match between these two. Lanes are opening up for both of them a little bit. There should be a little bit more room for error. But we saw both bowlers last match constantly hit the pocket and have problems carrying. Very low, that up and down style of Ryan Keith, and gets another strike.
Very good shot there, keeping the pressure on Mr. Mills.
BPSMilwaukee.com. Got to be some spring specials coming up, Joey.
There's always spring and summer specials with balls that you're either no longer going to be in the line or balls we just have an overstock of. So stop in and check them out.
Yeah. Make sure you check out the summer hours too, a little bit different than fall, so want to make sure you make that trip down to BPS. That Joey and Dennis and Mickey are all there to help you out with whatever bowling needs you have, whether it's balls, shoes, bags, or accessories.
Andy actually threw that one a little too good right there. Just no deflection, fast 8.
So let's see if he's a polyester cross lane bowler. Yes, he is. Switches. Looks like he's going to go pretty straight at that. Both with the ball. No problem.
Safest way to make it.
Absolutely. And we see that more and more even with league bowlers nowadays. They're learning the benefits of a polyester bowling ball where straighter's greater, take the lane out of play, and even with the big puddles on some of the league shots, getting across to that 10 pin, you get out to that dry, those resin balls will still hook in those last 3 or 4 outside boards.
That's it. And when you get a spare ball drilled, I mean, it does take some time to learn because your swing can be slightly different. Your release, obviously, most players want to flatten it a little bit. But you have to learn to keep your shoulders squared up properly.
And flatten 10 pins right there did Andy Mills going into the commercial break for this game. Join Dresser and I back from Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan in just a moment for the rest of semifinal number 2. Ryan Keith working on a double here at Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan for semifinal number 2 of the Yonan Memorial Open. Winner of the tournament today gets a $1,000 first place prize. Second place, $650. Kyle Anderson already receiving $450, and the loser of this match will receive the same. Looking for 3 in a row on lane 4. And wow, that one took a big bite on the back end.
Definitely made a move on the end. Now, was that speed or was that targeting?
It looked a hair right on that shot. It looked a little more direct. Yeah, look at that off the camera, how far right that ball is. So it's always nice to have that close-up camera on the pins for us on the replay because we can see entry angle, how that ball's moving into the pocket, deflection. That's one thing that's always good to watch when your ball's going through the pocket. And once again, that little bit of that backup ball with that roll out of his hand, and no problem getting both pins. Once again, I want to thank the Sheboygan Tourism Board. Visit Sheboygan.com for anything you want to check out in the Sheboygan or Kohler, Elkhart Lake areas. I know lots of people are Road America fans. They'll be doing stuff in Elkhart Lake this summer, and we've got Youth Challenge Series tournament coming up at Elkhart Lanes. It's also sponsored by Visit Sheboygan. We'll see that sometime in mid-June, thanks to our friends at Time Warner Cable SportsChannel, and another ball that just goes high on him in a little Tucker conversion this time.
Yeah, I wonder if the fact that there was a previous lefty on that pair prior to this game, that there's a little bit of a friction area he has to deal with now.
Yeah. And as we mentioned earlier with the sunset strip pattern by Cagle, it's made to kind of force bowlers to make larger moves to keep the ball in play, and you know, maybe he thought maybe just a one-and-one move with his feet would keep it in play, and maybe you need to be a little bit larger. And how about that for a split conversion?
Jason Belmonte-esque right there.
And that's huge because instead of falling behind in the game, it keeps him up by 7 pins over Andy Mills. Andy is working on that strike. Look at that 2-pin, just get the 10 out. Ryan knows it's close on that replay, and the little fist pump, and the 10 goes down. Well, let's see what Andy can do here to possibly take the lead in this match.
I left a fast 8 last time on this lane after striking in his opening shot on this lane, and it goes from a fast 8 to a soft 10.
Messenger just falls off the back of the deck about halfway through. So once again, Andy Mills, big tournament player, as I mentioned, was part of the USBC team champions of Nicholas J's Pro Shop a couple of years back. Also made the Intercollegiate Singles Championships a couple of years back too when he was attending Viterbo University in lacrosse. And a nice cover there by Mr. Mills. Keeps himself within 7 pins of the match with 4 frames to go. If you're going to Miller Park this summer, looking for someplace good to eat before you hit the game, Barbier's Italian Inn, our friend and good bowler himself, Mark Dempsey, owner of Barbier's. Go stop down, have a pizza or some mastacholi. Get your fill before you get to Miller Park.
Mark will be joining us this weekend up in Stevens Point and Plover for the Wisconsin State Senior Championships.
No, and he can get it to the pocket, and he's having problems getting that 10-pin out for the second shot in a row.
Yeah, I mean, the carry hasn't been too friendly. I mean, he's had more taps than he has strikes, and with Andy's power, you wouldn't think that would be the case.
Yeah, ball's just facing up that hair late. Now it's just a choice of, does he maybe try to slow hook it a little bit more? We know he's got that in his repertoire. Or does he try to square it up a little bit quicker? And sometimes it's a little bit of a problem in those.
He's in a difficult situation. He's in the match, but he's not taking control of the match. And does he just sit by and, let Ryan control the match, or does he try something and see if he can catch a double or a turkey?
Well, Ryan's got a little momentum going for himself right here after making that 2-4-7-10 on lane 3 and gets that 7-pin kicked out there.
Just enough to carry that 7 out.
Action Heating and Cooling, the Peckus family, owners there and sponsors of our next event. You'll see here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel the Action Team Shootout for Motion Plus Lanes. Kerry Catania's Fine Center in Cudahy, and always exciting finishes in those team tournaments, no doubt about that.
And always close matches, too.
Ryan looking for another double in this match, and there's, once again,
a good corner pin, if there is such a thing.
Lots of wrap corner pins here today at Lakeshore Lanes. We really didn't see that a lot in the finals of the youth tournament. We saw most of the corner pins that were left for weak ones. That's about the 6th ring corner we've seen.
And not a weak corner pin, and yet the ball did deflect a little bit, but still enough power to call it a wrap 7. 6 or the 4 pin went around the top of that pin.
Keeps it on the lane nicely, covers it up, maintains that nice lead of 8 pins.
Let's see what Andy does here. He makes an adjustment off a 10 pin, but it's hard to make an adjustment off of a solid 10, but a weak 10 you can.
Yeah, with frames running out here, he knows strikes in the 8th and 9th are pretty much a must to put any pressure on his opponent. Got that one a little farther right and trusted it to the dry a bit more.
Yeah, create a little bit more backhand angle of entry. Throw it like that, it's going to be hard to beat.
Trophy Athletic provides awards for most of our shows here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. I want to thank the Wagner family once again for all their support over the years. Lots of longtime sponsors we have on these telecasts, and hoping to get more as we go along. Have a couple new ones already this show with Motive Bowling.
With the 10 pin up last time on the left lane, he did strike the previous 2 shots to take the lead in the match, and he does.
Gets the foundation frame set up as he needed. First time in this match, Andy Mills up by 2 pins. He's in control no matter what Ryan Keith does. Andy can't get shut out. Ryan Keith's maximum score right now 224. Well, Andy's is 226.
Ryan's probably at the point where he knows he's going to need a double, so makes it much easier when you carry this one in the 9th.
He's been pretty solid on this lane so far, except for the one shot that went high. And wow, how about that for tripping to 6 at an opportune time?
Carried a late 7, carried a late 6 pin, but he still got it done. And this is going to be the match right here.
Yeah. Anything that Ryan does here, Andy will have to match in his half of the 10th frame to go to that championship match and face Jason Wendt. Let's see. Ryan didn't make a move here off that last shot. Had that ring 7 last time and a weak 7 this time.
Yeah, soft 7, and I think he's threw it a little firmer, trying to keep it in play, and just didn't catch the break.
Well, you see the big breath right there. He knows, obviously, spare here is a must to put any pressure on Andy. And a full ride on that 12th ball.
Well, that'll force Andy to at least mark.
With good count. Could be possible where Andy could get 6 or 7 on that first ball, and we can end up with a tie or with Ryan winning the match. So count here is huge for Ryan to put pressure on Andy. Looks like he made a little bit of a move there with his feet. You can see looking down, just that little bit of a shift to the left, it looks like. himself that little bit more, a quicker face up with the ball. And of course they fall on the 12th one.
Yeah, they usually do fall on the fill shot.
So yeah, right now, Andy Mills, if he were to go 8 spare strike, we tie at 204. 7 on the first ball, Andy would lose no matter what he'd do. 9 spares, and 9 is a winner. Any strike on the first ball here is a winner. So
Now, this is what players bowl for, Phil, to be in that situation, to test your abilities both mentally and physically. Good aggressive shot. Can't throw it much better than that, Phil.
that 6 pin just took out that 10 pin like it owed it money. It was out of there in a hurry. And any type of good count here is going to get Andy Mills into the championship match against Jason Wendt. And early on, I would have thought, earlier in the day, I would have thought maybe we would have Kyle Anderson and Andy Mills final, but Kyle had that error in the 10th frame of his match. Let Jason sneak through, and right now with Andy kind of locked in, he might be the early favorite in that championship match.
A little inside of target, but we held pocket, carried the 4-9.
Got it out of there nicely. Well, now that we know that Andy's won the match, we're going to save a little time here. We're going to get into that championship match when we come back between Andy Mills and Jason Wendt. Make sure you stay tuned. Joe Serrano and I will be back from Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan in just one moment. Lakeshore Lanes features 24 synthetic AMF lanes with the latest in automatic scoring and bumper bowling on all lanes. Strikes Bar and Grill has one of Sheboygan's best kept secrets in their Friday night fish fry, while the Windjammer Banquet Hall can handle any of your party needs up to 275 people. Stop in and come see why Lakeshore Lanes is the best bowling center in Sheboygan. Two semifinals in the books. Jason Wendt advanced against Kyle Anderson, 205 to 201. Andy Mills advanced against Ryan Keith, 224 to 204. Just going by scores alone, Joe, you got to make Andy Mills the little bit of a favorite going into this match.
Well, you would think, and I would venture to say it's going to take at least 210 to win the match, because the players have pretty much owned the pocket. It's just a matter of figuring out pin carry. Yeah. Jason starts with an opening strike.
Can't start any better than that. 10 back in the pit. And wasting no time getting up on the approach here. Andy Mills out of Onalaska. Runs a lot of events. Helps a lot of events out in the lacrosse area. I know they got a good singles and doubles event a couple times a year out there. And a little bit light on the pocket. I mean, it's the first time we've seen a railroad all day.
You know, we can see the contrasting styles, whereas Jason more deliberate, more controlled at the foul line, whereas Andy a little more of an emotional player, kind of a type A bowler, let's say, very aggressive, attacks the line, up on his balls of his feet at release point, kind of reminiscent of E.J. Tackett.
Young player out on tour, rookie of the year this past year on the PBA Tour. Needs to hold on there and just enough to get both pins at the ball. So lots of fans still hanging around for this championship match. Been a long weekend for some of the younger players that bowled the Yonan Youth Finals the day before, and now we've got the Yonan Memorial Open today. We're taping this on a Sunday.
Yeah, you can't call these two youths, but
no,
but they're surely not in our category.
They're not in the gray hairs like we are, no doubt about that. Got real deliberate to the line, up out of his shoes almost at the foul line, and 10 back, and well, both bowlers got lane 3 figured out so far this match. Looking back at Jason's match, he seemed to have a lot more success on lane 3 as well. So,
and typically on this pair, we've seen it the opposite.
So yeah, lots of strikes for Jason. He had 3 out of 5 strikes on lane 3, and he only struck once on lane 4 in his opening match.
And there we go. We see lane 4 giving a little bit of a problem for Jason, and as normal, lane 4 hooking a little earlier and more than lane 3.
So we saw that with the college boys finals where they were getting a little squirrely, especially for Ryan Zagar in that championship college boys match against Riley Smith. And Riley got a couple of breaks there to take the college boys championship home for a $1,000 scholarship. With the open tournament here today, and since no youth is in the finals, cash money on the line.
You know, and Jason hasn't bowled in a game, so I mean, it's possible that these lanes have transitioned more than maybe he presumed they would. At least the right lane.
Yeah, and you got a couple of shadow balls on each lane coming back on during the commercial break, and another nice shot. And well, it looks like both bowlers are locked in on lane 3 now. Solving the puzzle on lane 4.
Again, lane 3 normally holds up a little longer, plays tighter, and you can see he got that a little wide, but definitely with that hand action got it back.
Yeah, Andy 3 of 5 on lane 4 in his match against Ryan Keith. And that was getting locked in late, and now he's gone light and high on 2 consecutive shots.
That's not a place you want to be where you go 2-8 and then through the face. It makes you wonder your ball choice, your launch angle through the front.
And with this pattern, a lot of times bigger moves were in order to stay in the pocket. Smaller moves can get you in trouble, so let's see if either of these bowlers make a bigger move on lane 4 to try to get in the hole.
Right. Now I know these players are generally within one board of their intended target, and their speed's consistent, their release is consistent, so, I mean, these aren't house hacks here.
No.
These are elite level players making quality shots, being fooled.
Exactly. The ball reads 6 inches sooner because that little bit of oil has been depleted. Next thing you know, your ball's hooking through the face instead of staying flush in the pocket. Let's see how he does here on lane 3. Looks really good out of his hand, and I think both bowlers would like to bowl the rest of the match on lane 3.
Well, advantage Andy Mills. He finishes the 10th on lane 3.
That is a good point. Jason was the higher seed. He did have lane choice.
Well, that has power.
Yeah.
That blew the 6-pin sideways.
You don't see that very often. That's a lot of entry angle and a lot of power to get that 6-pin to stand up going into the gutter.
Well, I saw Chad Kloss leave a solid 6-pin flush in the pocket, and I think that same night he left a solid 9-10.
Ooh. I've only seen Bob Learn Jr. on tour leave a solid 9-10 on TV once with a lot of entry angle, and Jason's got to cut down on something here with entry angle because now he's got split, and now he's got something not much easier here with that good old 3-6-9-10.
Well, that's back-to-back high shots on the right lane for Jason, where he's been pocket-pocket on the left lane. Leaves himself a tough spare. Gets a little fortunate there on the spare conversion.
Well, not pretty, but got the job done. Keeps himself within a dozen pins of Andy Mills. Gets that little break with the 6-pin off the sideboard into the 10.
To me, that was pretty. I mean, when you chop it, it's never pretty, but any spare, any strike, no such thing as an ugly strike.
I'll agree with you on that. Let's see what Jason can do here, getting into the commercial break for a final game here today.
Ooh, wrap that 10, wiggle the 10-pin as well.
Yeah. I think there was a vapor trail on the 6-pin there. It was going around so fast on that 10. Watch that replay, just that hair bit of deflection. Doesn't take much.
Hey, you don't want to lose the good lane, especially when the tough lane is making it near impossible.
Yeah, because if you can find that strike on lane 4 and get yourself maybe a lucky double or 3-bagger, that could be the whole match. Halfway through this championship match here at the Yonan Memorial Open at Lakeshore Lanes in Sheboygan. Join Joyce and I back in just a moment for the rest of this game. Well, the good news for Andy Mills here in this championship match, he's working on a strike. He has a 13-pin lead. The bad news is he's on lane 4 where he's struggling right now for his 5th frame. See what he can do here. If he gets himself a double, he can get himself a 23-pin lead. Almost backdoored the 3-pin there.
That is surprising that we've yet to see the right adjustment from Andy or Jason on that right lane. So out of 5 shots, all 5 are bad, other than a 2-8, which was a little light, and I think that kind of reinforces the complexity of the pattern.
Yeah, they're going to need to make a big move here. Stay clean, first of all, on lane 4, because we already saw Jason with 1 open. And that's the difference in this match right now. Jason's open in the second frame after leaving a 4-6-7 split. Has him down by that 13-pin margin. So Andy 2 for 2 this game on lane 3 here at Lakeshore Lanes, Sheboygan. Once again, I want to thank Bill Hilbert and the rest of the Hilbert family for their hospitality. Owners of Lakeshore Lanes, for everything this whole Sean Yonan weekend, from the Pro-Am on Friday night, the youth tournament Saturday, and this event today on Sunday, and another fine strike by Mr. Mills.
Well, he holds serve on the good lane. So it's kind of going to be who figures out lane 4 quicker and properly.
And the thing for Jason is that he's got to finish the match after Andy is done on this lane. So Jason, 3 more frames in this lane yet. Andy only has 2. Looks a little good out of his hand and just 4-pin high. So much better effort than his last 2 tosses on that lane.
Not a bad shot there. Tried to kind of use speed and power to kind of hold or maintain the pocket.
So it makes you wonder if next time he's up, if maybe he's going to just bump it farther left and try to play it just as direct, or maybe try to slow hook it a hair. It's a tough call right now for him. It's a move that's got to be made real quick.
Right, well, and that's their dilemma, not ours. It's more enjoyable watching it than it is being there, probably.
Exactly, and a $350 difference in prize money between the first place prize of $1,000.
That is why we bowl, isn't it? For the challenge?
Absolutely, the challenge, the money, the camaraderie, and wow. And worst ball of the day, unfortunately, for Jason.
That was just an oops. And if you're going to make an oops, better a big mistake sometimes than a small error. Keep that washout from popping up.
Yeah, 1-2-4 is no picnic either. Picking this one up. Easy to go a little high on the head pin and send the 2 around the 4. And there's a little farther to the right on the approach. Nice and direct. Picks it up.
Perfectly done.
Well, right now his maximum score is looking at 213 for Jason Went. Andy Mills strikes out. He can shoot 250, but he's got to get a strike here in the 7th, and he's yet to hit the pocket.
Well, he is on a strike, and he knows there's early friction on this lane. So he bumps in with the feet, throws a beautiful shot, and just doesn't carry. And that's dejecting, where he made the right adjustment, the correct speed, and no reward.
Watch the replay. Watch that 6-pin just up and around the neck of the 10-pin. Totally bad break there for Andy. You just got to keep your composure here, get out here and make the spare. And that's not good out of the hand and into the gutter. And even if it would have hit the pin after it got in the gutter, still wouldn't have counted. And that is a huge swing right now.
Right, and he lets Jason right back in the match. And that's a little bit of salt in the wound there. He makes a quality shot on the tougher of the 2 lanes and then just lets one get away from him.
Well, and if he strikes here on this shot, without carrying that one on that, 3-bagger would have been a 30-pin swing and lead for Andy here. And of course...
And that would have been a 30-pin swing.
Instead of being up by 35 pins, he's only up by 5 with a maximum score of 218 for Andy. So right now, Jason Wentz got to do something. Definitely don't want to leave it open right now in this lane, but try to find the pocket and get yourself set up for the 9th and 10th. 4-pin high last time in this lane for Jason. Nice and delivered to the foul line. Looks very similar, almost exactly the same.
Carbon copy of the previous shot.
And I bet you he probably moved his feet in a board on the approach, but with Andy taking a little bit of the oil away with his high revs, could be just enough for that ball right up and went 4-pin high again. Should have no problem with the polyester on that spare. Dead on it. Well, not a boring match of the bunch today for the 3, Joey.
No, we're on the edge of our seat.
Lots of money on line, and you know, one thing we want to thank all the bowlers that came up. It was a full field here today, 72 bowlers for the inaugural Sean Yonan Memorial Open, and a portion of each entry fee went towards the scholarship fund for next year's Sean Yonan Youth Tournament. $2,500 raised from this tournament alone towards the scholarship fund for the bowlers next year. So I want to thank all the bowlers that came up and bowled today for their help. And a great shot by Jason to come back in the 9th frame.
And Jason can definitely kick it up when he needs speed. And that ball easily could have left a 9-pin, but fortunately for him, he did not. So he gets the foundation strike.
Andy Mills can extend his lead here to 16 pins.
Could this be his first strike on the right lane?
Looks pretty good. Oh, how about that? He trips the fourth.
And he made an adjustment I didn't think could work in that he moved right, kind of fanned it or spun it, however you want to say it, to keep the ball on line longer, and trips the 4-pin for the big double. Now he goes to a lane he has yet not to strike on.
If he gets his first one here, he's in the 2 O's for sure. A strike here and good count is going to lock up the Sean Yonan Open title for Andy Mills. If he spares or opens, there's still an opening for Jason Wendt to win. Looks halfway decent out of it. Wow, did that bite up hard? Did he grab that one on the bottom, Joey?
No, we don't. Only Andy knows that, but I mean, that looked like a great shot off his hand. I know in my case it might have been a touch slow with speed. That happens at times for me. Yeah. And that may have been the case for Andy because it didn't look as though he pulled it left.
Yeah, well,
he caught it.
Yeah, count is huge here. He's got to get 2 for 183, and that's going to force Jason Wendt to get the first strike because right now, if Jason goes spare and any spare strike in the 10th, it's 182. So
no easy task for Jason since he has yet to strike on this lane. So we got somebody who has nothing but strikes on the left lane, doesn't get it, and now Jason hasn't had a strike on the right lane. Will he get it?
You can see he's taking a little extra time. Let's see if he kind of creeps. Yeah, it looks like he made a little creep to the left there on the approach.
Well, he's left 2 good 4-pins on this lane, keeping it on line with speed.
Looks nice out of his hand, needs to hold, and he gets the 10 out.
That looked left off his hand from my vantage point, and I mean, that power got the 6 into the 10. I'm sure Jason feels fortunate, and probably Andy does too. I mean, this was anybody's match.
No doubt. That was just gut check time right there. He knew it was in the pocket, just a matter of getting the corners out, and he does it. Any good count here, anything more than 5, and he's got himself this title locked up. So sure, we'll probably see a high hard one on the lane. Up, threw it out, and ooh, a little light. Well, we said he needed 5 for sure, and he got 6. So even if he misses them all here, he still has a 184 game. So he's got the title locked up, the $1,000 first place prize, and the inaugural title for the Sean Yonan Memorial Open.
Yeah, that lane was mighty tough the entire day.
You know, it was frustrating for the bowlers down there, Joey, but it was fun for us to watch and call up here. No doubt about that. Gets 2.
Takes 2 for a 186 game. That's enough.
That's right. You know, a good game, a grind all the way through for these 2 bowlers, and with that 3-pin victory, Jason Wendt takes home that $1,000 first place prize. Joe Serrano will be back from Lakeshore Lanes in just a moment, and we'll wrap up this inaugural Sean Yonan Memorial Open Tournament. Barbiere's Italian Inn, featured in onmilwaukee.com's In Search of the Perfect Pizza in January 2013. Near Miller Park on Bluemont Road and on Milwaukee Avenue in South Milwaukee. Well, Joey, exciting matches all day, both semifinal matches down to the 10th frame, championship match down to the 10th frame, but it didn't have to get that far. Andy Mills, 7th frame on lane 4. Makes a great shot on the lane he struggles on, leaves a 10-pin for a bad break, and then follows it up with that bad miss of the 10-pin.
Yeah, I'm sure if Andy could take that shot over again, he would throw it exactly the same on the first shot, but make the spare the next time around. I mean, that happens, Phil. I mean, it's a tough pattern. You make quality shots, but you can't give away a match by missing a spare.
Yeah. And if he carries that, 30-pin difference would have been locked up well before the 10th frame, where Andy stepped up on lane 3, where he hadn't missed on his 4 previous shots that game, and left that big wide open split.
Right, and Jason was having trouble on the right lane as well. I mean, as firm as he was throwing it, carry just wasn't there.
And for Jason to step up, hadn't struck all game on lane 4, 10th frame, needs that first strike to win that $1,000 title, and he just dead flush in the pocket.
Threw a high, hard one, and when in doubt, go straight.
awesome tournament. Thanks to Keith Yonan, his family, and his staff for running another great weekend of events up here in Sheboygan. We'll be back with more VisitSheboygan.com open events in May and June here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. But our next event, one of our favorites of the year, coming from Motion Plus Lanes, the Action Team Shootout. Always great tournament action there, and a full field of 16 5-man teams battling out to get to the TV show, and that TV show never disappoints.
Oh, we'll see plenty of strikes on that day.
So make sure to join Joe Serrar and I back for that Action Team Shootout on our next show. Make sure you see Joe Serrar at Bowlers Pro Shop this summer for all your bowling needs. South Howell Avenue, down by the airport in Milwaukee. For Joe, I'm Phil Brilo. Parents take the kids bowling. They'll have fun for life, even in the summer. And we'll see you again from Motion Plus Lanes.